Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to an Arcane Mage video. This is actually going to be a PvP Arcane Mage video, so if you're not interested in that and didn't read the title for some reason, then just leave the video right now. So this is actually a guide I'm going to make pretty much on my gearing and why I decided to choose these things, alright? So it also includes talents and glyphs and all that kind of stuff, pretty much like my other like 6.2.2 Arcane Mage PvP talk, but we're also going to include gearing in this one. So anyways, I want to let you guys know I don't have my full best in slot because I did try out Frost a bit, and for some reason I did decide to buy some Frost items, which was just very stupid. But I will anyways just cover the BIS items, and I think I have them blue, so I can just show you guys what items they are. But anyways, let's go into the talents first off, and you can see that I'm using Blazing Speed. Now Blazing Speed is optional, you don't need that. The two things you can swap between is Evanescence and Blazing Speed. I do prefer Blazing Speed versus teams that will not sit on me the whole time and cannot burst me like a lot. For example, a turbo team will do constant damage to you and it's very hard to escape from them. I use Blazing Speed versus that because I know that even though they have a lot of burst damage, they also have a lot of consistent damage, and therefore I want to be able to block whenever I want to. Now, versus teams like, for example, God Comp, or for example RMD, RMP, all these kind of comps that bursts like every 30 seconds or so, Evanescence is very good. Even though it says 45-second cooldown, it still acts like a block. So for example, I'm going to, use this one, and let's say I use Evanescence here. They use all their cooldowns into me and I took literally no damage, and there you go. And then let's say they go again in 30 seconds and you have literally like no HP left, and you really need to survive this. You can cold snap and use another Evanescence and you should be fine. But that also means that obviously now you don't have any defensives left. But that is also why I am a Draenei, okay? So keep in mind that Draenei give the Gift of Naru spell, which heals me 20% of my HP over 5 seconds. This has a 3-minute cooldown, and what I usually use it for is when a comp that bursts very hard opens on either my healer, my other DPS, or me. So let's say I have 5 seconds left to Evanescence when the team opens on me. I have like 50% health. If I use my Gift of Naru on me, I should be able to, along with kiting a bit, be able to survive those 5 minutes, and I can use Evanescence again. But keep in mind, I only use Evanescence versus high burst teams. Otherwise, I use Blazing Speed. Alright, let's just put that one back. Flame Glow is quite a no-brainer. You should never use Ice Barrier because it can be dispelled. It is a 25-second cooldown. Flame Glow is just a pure damage reduction. Very good for Arcane Mages. No more explanation needed there. You can use all the time in 2s. I wouldn't really recommend it in 3s. I guess it has some uses in 3s, but I don't ever use it there because I play with hybrids that can keep me alive pretty good anyways. And with their heals and Flame Glow, it's just very good. I don't think like Arcane Mage should ever play without an hybrid in their team, so I guess all the time could be decent in 2s if you face, for example, a warrior, a holy paladin, and a holy paladin that can't dispel it, and you can like jump down ledges, for example on Blade Edge Arena, and you jump down and you just teleport back up again. Ring of Frost, Ice Ward, Frostjaw, all of these talents are pretty good. I use them sometimes versus, like, for example, if I play 2s and I meet a Frost Mage and Disc Priest, then I use Frostjaw on the Mage, for example, to try to get a poly on the healer out of a clone or something if I play with a Druid. Ice Ward is, for example, when I face a warrior and a holy paladin. I use Ice Ward to on myself or my partner, depending on what the warrior is hitting, to get a root on him, and then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Ring of Frost I use versus teams that, for example, when I play 3s, have a Resto Druid, and for example my Holy Paladin in my team or whatever hodges him, and he's maybe in cat form or tree form, then I use Ring of Frost for that, because obviously I can't polymorph into Shapeshifter's form. So yeah, this one is always Cold Snap, there's no argument there. Then we have Supernova, always Supernova, nothing else here. Then Encounter's Flow, also always that one, there's no point of ever using anything else. And for Arcane Orb and Prismatic Crystal. Now, I've seen quite some people use Prismatic Crystal, and there's only one team that I use Prismatic Crystal versus, and that is Feral Druid and Healer in 2s, okay? I don't use it otherwise ever. So the reason why I use Prismatic Crystal only versus that team is because they have a lot of things to spell steal usually, like they get their rejuvenation on them, so it's not that hard to spell steal off of them, and they usually have a priest healer, right, which has a lot of things I can steal, for example the shields and stuff like that. And every time you spell steal you get an arcane missile stack, which essentially translates into 1 arcane charge. You want to be able to get 4 arcane charges very quickly, right? So I can just quickly do that. The other reasons why I use it versus ferals is because if a feral, for example, leaves the stun or whatever with like 10% health, they can usually survive because they just use survival instincts and then they just run away with dash or whatever and they're fine. Or bear form, you know, they just never die if they live with 10%, so I need to literally one-shot them in one stun. Otherwise, the Arcane Orb is just very, very useful because it always, like, as soon as I use it, I get 4 Arcane charges if I put it through 2 people, and that's usually what I do. But sometimes, you know, I can't do that and I get 2 stacks or 3 stacks from it. It's kind of different. But yeah, as you can see, if I would use it, like, through all of these, I would instantly get 4 charges, and I can just instantly go ahead and do this. The other perk that actually is coming along with the Arcane Orb is that it does kill totems. Yeah, and it hits quite hard, actually. It hits like 10k, and even if they have the strong totems, which is like 7k health or 11k health, it usually kills them off. And if there's like a healing stream, for example a spirit link or whatever, if you use it, it would just kill everything in its path, which is really, really effective. Now for glyphs, I use these, and I always use these. There's only one exception where I change one of these, and I'm going to go over that in 1 second. Glyph of Polymorph, obviously because I play with a Boomkin most of the time, or a Shadow Priest, and they might multi-dot stuff, and it will break my polys, so that's a no-brainer, I guess. Glyph of Spell Steal, extremely useful, heals me 4% of my health every time I Spell Steal, and Spell Steal is actually something you use a lot as an Arcane Mage in PvP. You literally spam it, and then when you go low on health, you use Evocation to get that back up again. Now for the Ice Block glyph that I usually do change, or well, I do change it sometimes, is when I face, for example, a Disc Priest. A Disc Priest can mass dispel my block, and usually will do very quickly on high ratings, so the heal is completely useless. But what you can choose instead of that is this one, Glyph of Ice Block. When Ice Block is terminated, well, when it's terminated, it triggers an instant free Frost Nova and makes you immune for the next 3 seconds. Now this is very good versus teams like Resto Druid, Shadow Priest and Frost Mage, where for example, Shadow Priest can instantly mass dispel your block, or if you face, for example, a Rogue Mage Priest, which has a Discipline Priest, which very quickly also mass dispels your block, then the Mage cannot do damage to you, only the Rogue for 3 seconds. It's a lot better than having something that heals you over time and they just instantly dispel it and you don't get any heals at all. So anyways, that is it for those things. Let's get into gearing. Now for gears, you want to use your foreset. You always want to have your foreset, because what that does is that when you use your arcane power, you can cast, you can run and cast, sorry. So as you can see, when I use my arcane power, I can actually run and cast. This is very good versus melee teams, because if you're, you know, facing a turbo cleave or something like that, and they're literally on you the whole time, you can actually use blazing speed when you're doing this, and you can run away from them and cast at the same time, which is obviously very good, and they can't really stop you. Only wind shear, I guess, can stop that, and if you already faked that before you decided to use arcane power, then you can just kite freely and cast. Then for the off pieces, which is the most important things, I guess. Well, actually, I'm going to just cover what main pieces you should have. You should have the gloves, you should have the legs, you should have the shoulders, and you should have the chest piece. Now for the head, you should not have this one actually. You should have the off tier head, but you should not have this one. You should actually have this one, but I only have that one on wild, so I actually got this one from rated BG, so that was kind of sad. But as you can see, this one has mastery, because mastery is your main stat, so this is the one you want to have, but warmongering version of it. So yeah, that's the one you want to have. Then for belt, you want to have mastery, versatility. Versatility is pretty good, but you really don't want to stack it as an arcane mage. You really want to try to stack mastery. Then for boots, these are the ones you want to use, also mastery boots. For the rings, you want to use the crit haste and the haste multi-strike. I don't think there is a mastery ring, I haven't really checked that out too much, but if there is, use that one. For trinkets, if you're a Draenei, you obviously want to use these two. They both use versatility, and a lot of versatility actually, which is damage reductions, and you're quite tanky as an arcane mage if you decide to stack versatility. It's the best thing to do, and it's a lot more worth it than intellect. So anyways, if you're not a Draenei that doesn't use these, you know, the PvP trinkets like this one, then you should probably use the intellect one, which is this one right here, which on use gives a lot of versatility and passive intellect. Now for the weapon, this is not the weapon you want to use either, but it is the enchant you want to use. You want to use the mastery enchant, because mastery is obviously your main stat. But the actual weapon you want to use, let's see if I have that one in my inventory, I'm not sure if I do. Yep, here we go. This is the one you want to use, along with this offhand right here. Just imagine that these are actually warmongering epic ones, because it gives mastery, and this one also gives mastery. Meanwhile, the staff doesn't give mastery at all, it gives haste and multi-strike. But that are the weapons you want to use. And for the wrist, you also want to use crit mastery. And for the cloak, you want to use haste mastery, and for the neck, you want to go with mastery multi-strike. Now for the enchants, you might be thinking, why does he have haste enchants? Alright, so I have haste enchants on neck, cloak, and rings, but I have mastery enchants on my weapon. Mastery enchant on your weapon gives a lot of mastery, right? I'm going to see if I can get a proc of it really quick. I don't know if I can do that, but it should proc really quickly. But anyways, meanwhile we wait for that to proc, I want to talk about why I actually have mastery enchants on my other gear except my weapon. Now, you polymorph a lot as an Arcane Mage. Like, you literally spam polymorphs as much as you possibly can, along with spamming spell steal, because what you do as an Arcane Mage is kite, survive, and spam polymorphs and spell steal until you get one opportunity to use your arcane power, which is for example a polymorph on the healer along with a bash on the kill target. There we go. So as you can see, 500 I think it stacks up to 2 times, so you can get 1000 more mastery. It's quite a lot, and it's like a lot more than all the enchants overall. But yeah, what you do is you just spam CC and try to live, because most people will target you for some weird reason, but that's actually what they do. And I guess it's kind of wise because they stop a lot of damage. But anyways, you just spam polys and spell steal, and when you get one opportunity, which is usually like a Hammer of Justice on, for example, a warrior, meanwhile you polymorph the Holy Paladin in the other team, and I don't know, your Boom King clones the third target, which is most likely an Enhancement Shaman, then you can use your arcane power, your use trinket, your presence of mind, everything at the same time, and just burst him down in one single burst. That's how you play arcane actually these days. There's a lot of people that don't know that and just plays it offensive the whole time. That's not what you do. 90% of the game you play defensively, which is why most people don't really get successful with arcane, but it is a viable spec if you play the right comps. And I think the highest I've ever been is 2.4k in 2s and 2.6k in 3s. So it is absolutely, definitely viable, but I think that's going to be it for this video. I don't know what else I could possibly talk about. There's quite some people who ask what these add-ons are, and they are actually called Tell Me When. I can actually show you guys really quick here how you would set this up. So you would go into Tell Me When settings, hopefully it's not bugged. Alright, let's see. So we have, let's move this around a bit, and let's go to these arcane charges. You right click here, and then you can see Arcane Charge, which is a debuff. It's not a buff, so you have to take it on debuff right here. And then show timer text, and make sure you have the timer thingy enabled on the settings. I'm not sure how you do that, but anyways. And you just search for Arcane Charge. I can just redo this, like Arcane Charge. And then you pick this one on the top, and you just press OK, and it should be done, and you can place it wherever you want to place it, pretty much. Like, you can do that, and then Tell Me When, and then you just go here and use your thingy, and it should be showing here. And I'm not sure if you can probably make it bigger as well. I think you can drag it out. But yeah, it's the same thing for all of them, and it's just a very handy thing to have. As well as this bar right here is called Nug Combo Bar, I'm pretty sure it's called that. And it just shows your arcane stacks here as well if you want to have that under your character. As you can see, when I'm gaining stacks, I get one of these orbs. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I really do recommend you guys to play Draenei for an Arcane Mage because of the Gift of the Naru. It's extremely good as the... you can also... Like, there's 2 different ways to play Arcane Mage. If you want to play it in 2s and you play with something that does a lot of damage and you know that most people will target you, you can actually go with 2 stamina trinkets. Now, the difference between having 2 stamina trinkets and not having 2 stamina trinkets is obviously... is that you will do less damage. Like, you do less damage, but you also take less damage, and you can heal more. What you don't take less damage, but you have more health, and that means that you can heal yourself more, both with Gift of Naru, because that's a percentage of your health. So you can see here, 14k heals exactly the same every single time, because that's 20% of my actual health over 5 seconds, which means that it's like 4% every time it ticks. But then, if you have stamina trinkets, that's obviously gonna heal even more. And if you have stamina trinkets and you use the Glyph of Spell Steal, which gives you 4% of your health every time you spell steal, your spell steals will be very, very high. It can go up to like 20k per spell steal, along with you actually spell stealing like Rejuvenation, spell stealing shields or whatever. So you're very tanky as an Arcane Mage. And I know I've said this like 3 times now. That's pretty much the end of the video. I don't know what more to talk about. If you guys have any questions at all, then feel free to ask. I will answer all of them. I hope you guys did enjoy this and found it informative. And yeah, see you in the next video, guys.